360-Degree Marketing with Sinclair Broadcast Group by Darren Shapiro.
Good morning, everybody. I am Darren Shapiro, as Rob said. I'm actually Vice President of New Business Development for a company called Sinclair Broadcast Group. Now, I will tell you a little bit about myself because I'm able to do that because I'm up here. But today, what I really want to do is focus on 2 or 3 very, very cool ways that you could take your marketing and make it what I call 360-degree marketing. What we're looking at is an economy that in the last year showed us the worst recession in 25 years. But we also have to take a look at where this economy is really going. It was absolutely a consumer-driven recession. Consumers stopped spending money. Now, there are reasons. There's unemployment, there's underemployment, but consumers stopped spending money, and the way this economy is going to get better is they're going to start spending money. Do you notice? Some months they say, wow, the consumers are starting to spend. And I want to take a look specifically at how not only your business can react to how the economy is moving, but how you can stay ahead of it. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about Sinclair Broadcast Group. It's a company I work for. It's the largest group of TV station owners in the United States. We actually own 58 television stations in 35 markets because we own ABC, NBC, CBS, all across the United States. We just happen to have a Fox affiliation here. But today I'm actually going to talk about something more important. I'm going to talk about partnering with local businesses. Now, I've been in my business for 25 years. 25 years TV guy. I've been with Sinclair 21 of those years. When I started with Sinclair, I'll give you a little background. Sinclair was a television group that didn't have 58 television stations. They had 3 or 4. And they had those stations that some of us grew up knowing, which were called UHF. You know, they were on you had to put the rabbit ears. Is everybody old enough to remember rabbit ears? Or am I the only one? Come on. There was rabbit ears, and they were on those higher channels, 38, 42. You had to stand there holding it. You know, we ran the Bad Abbott and Costello movies on the weekend, the cartoons during the week. You remember that. That was how television was in the old days. And because I started, I'm talking about 26 years ago, old days. When I started, all we did was talk to local business owners. But we got to be a little bit of fat cats. You know, we got bigger. General Motors, Taco Bell, McDonald's, all the big players were buying television. So I hate to say it, we started ignoring local businesses. And when the economy dropped out, it was a rude awakening that the biggest asset that we have, the biggest asset, is our local advertisers, our local marketing, not national marketing. We are Madison, Wisconsin's Fox. People who live in Madison watch our television station here. So why wouldn't we actually go out to you? So obviously we want to take a look at what you're doing, because if today all I do is tell you about TV, I don't think it's as compelling as that might have been 5 years ago. What I want to do is offer not only compelling alternatives to what you're doing, but use current technology, I'll get into that in a little while, to actually take you to that next level. Real, true 360 marketing. Your marketing must mirror consumer behavior. This has nothing to do with how much money you have. This has nothing to do with what budget you have. But you must question whether or not your current marketing mirrors current consumer behavior. But when I was growing up, and I got to look back, okay, because I'm going to talk about consumer behavior, but first I'm going to talk about me and my consumer behavior. So I was a little boy in the 1960s, and I remember only one thing in my house. There was one big black and white TV set, and I was my dad's remote. Darren, get up, change the channel. What did everybody else grow up rich or something? Well, didn't you remember that? Do you remember also then when you finally got a remote, it was called a clicker? It actually clicked. Does anybody remember the clicker? Is there nothing that I'm saying that resonates with anyone in Madison, Wisconsin? The clicker! Well, anyway, so during the course of the day, when I came home from school, that television set became mine because I watched cartoons. But I also remember something very weird happened when I watched cartoons. It wasn't the cartoons. It was the commercials. When the commercial came on, I became a voracious consumer. In fact, that was the thing about television. That's still the thing about television. Television teaches people what's cool. You got to think about that for a second. Think about all the things that you actually see advertised on TV, whether or not you want to use the word cool. Remember, I'm a 1960s child, peace. But it was cool. It was cool to wear Converse sneakers. It was cool to get a Schwinn bicycle. It was really cool to eat Count Chocula cereal. And chances were real good. The only activity I had that was advertising to me in my young days was coming out of that box in my house. That was in the 1960s. Now, as a consumer in the 1960s, I had 3 options. I could get out of my house. I lived in New York, by the way. I grew up in New York. I'd get out of my house. I'd walk into the street. I'd walk literally almost a mile to the Woolworths. Everybody remember Woolworths? It's called Target now. But we had Woolworths back then. And I would go to that store, but I had to go with my parents. There was a guy on television, though, that did a very innovative thing. What he not only did was he told me about a product, and then he showed me how the product worked, and then he told me how much the product cost. And I want you to pay close attention to everything I'm saying, because we're talking about old school marketing, but we're going to apply it to new school in a minute. This guy's name was Ron Popeil. Does everybody remember him? He promoted a product called the Popeil Pocket Fisherman. Now, I'm going to tell you, I lived in New York City. I lived in the city. There are no fishing ponds in the city. There are sewers. But I had to have that Popeil Pocket Fisherman because it was the coolest thing. It could fit in your pocket, and it was small, and it was only $9.99. And you could get it at Woolworths. That's how he marketed. He told you about the product, showed you how it worked, and told you where to get it. The only way I was able to get it in the 1960s was telling my parents that I wanted to go to the store. So we did. We went to the store, and they kept on saying the two words I hate. I kept saying, I want it. They kept saying, we'll see. Does everybody else get the we'll see? Does everybody have kids in their life that they say, we'll see? Okay, we'll see is the worst two words you could tell a kid. That just means no. I mean, seriously. So here I am at the tender age of 9 or 10. I want this product. But when we get to the store, my parents don't know they don't know what the product is. They're not watching TV with me. So the one thing that marketer did, very smart, something you're going to do differently with us, is that he made sure that product was in my face and in my parents' face. And the way that he did that was in Woolworths, he actually got the end of aisle display. Has anybody ever gone shopping where they see things on the end of aisle? You ever been to Walmart or Kmart? Those end of aisle displays are premium positions. But it wasn't just enough for him to put it on the end of the aisle. He put a sign right next to his product. He put a sign, and that sign told my parents, without ever knowing about it, that product was seen on TV. Now, to this day, you still see that, right? You still see that? Has anybody ever seen anything say, as seen in direct mail? No. How about as seen in the yellow pages? How about as seen even on the internet? No. This is the most potent form of marketing in 1960, in 1980, and in 2010. As seen on TV does three things for the product. The first thing is it tells my parents, it's cool. It's television will absolutely influence buying habits. And the first reason is no medium reaches more eyeballs. You know, if you really if you think about this, if you're not reaching customers, if you're not reaching them constantly, if you're not being in front of them as much as you can, like Ron Popeil did in the old days, you are effectively missing your opportunity to make marketing work for you. Barack Obama, you know who he is, right? When Barack Obama has something to say to the American public, where does he say it? He says it on television. In the old days, they used to do it on radio because there was no TV. I've never seen Barack Obama in the newspaper telling people anything that wasn't old news. When he wants to talk to mass audience, he talks through television. That's why you want to be on television, because it reaches more people than any other medium. Functionally, though, it brands your business better than anything else. The effectiveness of brands allows you to take a bad economy and turn it into a good one. Brands can actually charge more. Brands actually control what's in consumers' head. I'll give you a great example. I don't live in Madison, Wisconsin. I don't. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland right now. That's where I live. Okay, besides his restaurant, can someone tell me a really good Italian restaurant? What's a good Italian restaurant? I want to go out tonight. What's that? I don't know. You don't know. Anybody? Give me a good Italian restaurant. I'll get to you in a minute. Piazzi's. Okay, what's a good Italian restaurant? Okay, is that yours? Yeah. Is Angelo's? Good. Here's the issue. To be inside somebody's head is more important to you right now than to somebody actually calling you on the phone right now. And I'll give you an example. Name me an insurance company. American Family. Name me another insurance company. Okay, has anybody ever heard of Geico? Can anybody tell me what Geico does? Sure you can, it's insurance. Can anybody tell me what Geico stands for? Geico stands for Government Employees Insurance Company. Do you know it's been around for 70 years? Do you know that Warren Buffett bought the company 15 years ago and turned it into a consumer-based product? Do you know that right now, Geico is the #2 insurance provider in the United States? Do you know that you will never have to see another commercial for Geico in the next 10 years and you'll still know what it is? They're not convinced that anybody needs to call them the minute it comes on the air, but they did something very simplistic. There's 3 ways you can market. The first one is the best way. It's called simple marketing. You give them 15 minutes, they'll save you 15%. So here's what happens. Geico has decided to take branding to the top level. During this economy, they not only have continued to brand their business and keep it in your head, but they have started to open it up. They're not just cars anymore. They say they do house insurance. They say they do motorcycle insurance, boat insurance. Has anything changed in the last 6 months to a year in your industry that your consumer, even though you think your consumer knows about you, has anything changed that you need to get the word out? Okay. In the 1970s, there was this big, heavy guy who came on TV and said, it's time to make the donuts. It's time to make the donuts. What was that for? Dunkin' Donuts. But what does Dunkin' Donuts sell now? Oh, I'm sorry. Right, they don't even talk about donuts. America runs on Dunkin'? What, are they running on jelly donuts? No, they're talking about coffee. McDonald's all of a sudden sells coffee. You've got to understand, marketing in general is sometimes important to brand your business, but there is no other marketing that brands your business like television. There is no marketing that gets the eyeballs out there. And let me tell you how powerful a brand is. I told you I'm 50 years old. When I was 43, I went through my midlife crisis. I went a little early on it. I went and I bought a motorcycle. What kind of motorcycle did I buy? You bet your life I did. I have a black Fat Boy. I've got Vance & Hines pipes. I've got beach bars on it. That's right. I might not look right now like a Harley guy, but I got a fake tattoo and a ponytail that I put on the weekend. But isn't it funny? You said Harley. What? Not a Suzuki? Not a Kawasaki? Not a Honda? And why do you know these Japanese words? They're all brands. But you took an image and you've created an image. That brand is so strong, people tattoo it on their body, especially in Milwaukee. Have you ever seen people in Milwaukee? Of course you have. It's right down the road. But what I'm pointing out is nobody's tattooing your name of your business on your, maybe you do. He might have Angelo. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But remember, the last thing is no medium adds more credibility. And that's the concept that consumers are actually looking for. Credibility. Is there any reason why anybody bought the ShamWow? Did anybody in here know what the ShamWow is? Of course you do. How about the Snuggie you bought for him? I mean, what was that about? You know, Billy Mays died trying to sell these things. Okay, you know, Billy Mays, the guy who screamed. Okay. What I'm putting out is credibility is the most important thing to a lot of your businesses. I know I was talking, we've got chiropractors in here, we've got credit unions. There's a credibility factor that takes you up 7 notches when you're a brand. Brand awareness is one thing, share of brand is another. You have competitors to your business? You have competitors to your business? Does everybody have a competitor to their business? You, of course, not this guy. Yeah. You have competitors. Television allows you to cut through the clutter. Television allows you to dominate your category, okay? And the credibility is more important. Has anybody seen on TV, right around Christmas or whatever, they always put those ab belts that make your abs tighter? I'm wearing one right now. Do you hear the hum? How's it look? Okay. How do you know about this? They've sold millions of them. Now, I'm not telling you that these things work. That might be a faulty product, but they sell millions because television added instant credibility. No medium does all 3 as well. And last but not least, in the current fragmented economy, nothing stands out better than local broadcast television. Let me tell you something about consumers right now, and I want to know if this affects some of your businesses. Consumers are bizarre. In a good economy, consumers might go 3 people deep to check out, get estimates. In a bad economy, is anybody here an exterminator? Do we have an exterminator? Has anybody ever called an exterminator? Do you know what exterminators do? I'm trying everything today, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying everything. Okay, so I have termites in my house. Who's the first guy I'm going to call? Terminex? You heard of Terminex? What about Orkin? You've heard of Orkin? In Madison, who's the 3rd guy I would call? Who's the 3rd guy? Who's the 4th guy? Who's the 5th guy? And I'm going to tell you right now, if you're not number 1, number 2, or number 3 in a good economy, you got troubles. But if you're not number 4 or 5 in a bad economy, you got troubles. And I've heard people tell me, especially if it's not an emergency, you might be an emergency business, but if they get 5 estimates, sometimes they decide not to do the business, right? Have you ever done that? You give it an estimate, they didn't even fix anything. And in your business, people are trying to fix it themselves. Boy, that's a good thing for you because God knows that's going to be an unusually expensive job for you to fix. How about your whole promotion is we fix do-it-yourself jobs? How's that? That's a good one. That's a good one for a plumber. I fix do-it-yourself jobs. That's a good one. That's good. You got that one for free. You got that one for free. I will tell you that you have to think about how consumers are acting, and this is what we're going to talk about. Not just consumers, but consumers who buy locally. And by the way, I'm going to tell you a fact that has just occurred in this economy worse